So the turning point for me was, and I really hope I don't cry because I tend to when I share this story, was so at this time, me and my husband were in Texas, and there was a friend from the gym there that I became close friends with, and she was really a strong Christian woman, and like she knew the Lord truly, and I got to have access to her life to see, how she lived it out. And her so her first husband was a police officer, and he was unfortunately killed in the line of duty, and they had two kids together. And then so like years later when I meet her, so she's gotten remarried, and she and her like now husband wanted to have another child together, and they really struggled for a long time to get pregnant. And then when they finally did get pregnant, their daughter was diagnosed with this very rare chromosomal disorder that the doctors basically told her, like, your child is not going to make it full term. And if she does, she's not going to live for very long. Like it will most likely be a couple hours, and like she will pass. And that's exactly like what happened. She was able to be born, but then died shortly after. And I remember this made a big impact to me because at the time that this had happened, me and my husband, we were now at the time where we're like, we want to start our own family. And I had even kept it from him, the struggles and the battles that I had had with eating disorders. And thank goodness, like God had helped me stop that when me and my husband, my now husband, he really, God blessed him, or blessed me by giving him to me. And I was able to start finally healing some of those things just because of the way that he loves me. Like God sent me a man who loved me right and who loved me in the way that a man should love and care for a woman. And so thankfully I still wasn't struggling with that particular struggle anymore, but I had for years. And I was so ashamed. Again, like another part of my life that I was ashamed of, and I kept it from him because I still didn't know how to break down these walls. And so he didn't know anything about that. But when it came time for us to wanting to start a family, it was like those demons came back to me, and they were like, they were speaking this into me. They're like, you're not going to be able to get pregnant, or it's going to take a long time for you too. Like, this is going to be your battle and your struggle. And look at what you've done to your body. At that point, I had worked so hard physically that like hormonally, I was not even having like a normal period. I was super, super fit. So like I had basically like no body fat. And I put my body under stress constantly. And because of the years that I had this eating disorder, like I was just telling myself this isn't going to work out for me. And if it does, like I'm going to miscarry, and like how much more pain and shame is that going to add to my life, and like on my husband. And so this was really the first time, like, and I saw, like, I told God, like, I see this woman who's my friend who loves you. Like, she's really like the first time I encountered somebody who's like genuinely like loves God. Like I had never really been around anybody who I saw love Jesus the way that she loved Jesus. And to know how much she had gone through in her life, to like lose her husband first of all, and while they have two small kids. And then not only that, but then when she like gets remarried, for this to happen, and now she's lost a daughter. And I was just like, I'm not worthy. Like, look what I've done. And again, because I had this whole like worthiness mindset that like, you have to be worthy. You have to be worthy. You have to be worthy. And I was like, I was comfortable not being worthy anymore. And I was like, I'm fine with that. But then here's something that's totally out of my control. And I've done it to myself. So I don't deserve to be blessed. And here's this woman who loves you, and she's like had to go through all this. Like, what even makes me think that I can ask God for something like this? And that's what like I feel like my demons were telling me, like, you don't even deserve to go to God for this. Like, this is going to be your lot to deal with. And I just remember I was like, I can't, like, God, if you're real, and if you can love me and forgive me, and if you will show me who you are, then, like, I just need to know what's the truth, but I need your help, because this is something I have no control over. This is something I've done to myself. I don't feel worthy to even pray to you. Like, I had stopped praying, and I never felt comfortable praying the way that, like, Christians pray, because Mormons pray so differently. So it was even like another point of insecurity. Like, I don't even know if I'm doing this right. And I was just on my floor by myself, just sobbing before the Lord and asking him in prayer, like the most sincere prayer that I think I've ever prayed, and asking God just to reveal himself to me, because I need his help. And I was like, and I want you to please, please bless me in this, because I want to be a mom. And I don't think I'm strong enough to deal with the death of a child. And my heart goes out to any woman and any family who have had to deal with that, because I can only imagine. And knowing, like, where I was at emotionally and mentally and spiritually, like, I did not have the strength to endure that. And to me, I felt like that was what was going to come to me. And I was just like, God, please save me from this. Like, I can't do this anymore. And I'm so scared to even try. But I want to. But if you're real, like, you need to step in, please. And it was so beautiful, because I remember after praying that prayer, like, nothing happened, nothing major happened. But, like, shortly after that, we got pregnant, and we got pregnant with twins. And like, I didn't even know there were twins in my family. And like, when the nurse asked me that, I was like, no. But I guess my grandma's sister had twins, so it was in my DNA. But like, nobody in my family, and if you know Mormons, like, they have big families, they have tons of kids, and so, like, somebody in my family before me with as many kids as they have had should have had. I feel like should have had twins.
Yeah.
And so, for God to not just, like, give me a baby, but to give me two, it was like God's way of just showing out big. And when he says, like, I will give you a double portion, like, I replace your ashes for joy. Like, I felt like that was him showing me, like, I heard your prayer, and I'm blessing you in abundance with this. And it was pretty scary still, to, like, first time around getting pregnant, like, you have no idea what to expect or anything, and then to, like, find out, like, not only are you carrying one baby, you're carrying two babies.
Yeah.
So there was still, like, anxiety that came with that, but I started pressing into God a lot more. Like, because of that, he started softening my heart. And I daily, I was praying and, like, thanking him for this blessing, but also praying that, like, his hand would just be with my kids, for them to be healthy and everything just to go smoothly. And so when I deliver, like, everything goes perfectly. Like, my kids are born 5 minutes apart, and they're healthy. But my son Liam, who came out first, so he's 5 minutes older, so he's technically the firstborn. Um, there was a scare, like, in the NICU, where, like, he couldn't breathe, and, like, the nurses couldn't get him to breathe, and it just so happened, like, the doctor, who was not always at the hospital, like, happened to be there and was able to revive him. And I was blessed to be able to stay in a room, like, next to the NICU. So God was providing all of these things. And then my son, he was also, when we took him to, like, his first pediatrician appointment, um, they they saw signs of that were indicative of spina bifida. And so, they're like, okay, we need him to get these x-rays. And, like, every time that we would go get him checked up, they're like, yeah, we still see these cysts on his spine and this and that. So when he's 6 months old, because that's the earliest that we can do it to put him under, he needs to get an MRI so we can see really the severity of things and know how to get him early intervention. So here is this like pronunciation over my son that like even though he's okay, he's going to have to deal with this. And I was like, God, I was like, I don't believe that you gave me these kids as a blessing from your heart to now have something be wrong with my son. And so I was like, I'm going to be praying against this, and I'm going to be asking everyone else that I know to be praying that he is healed from this. And so when 6 months comes up and like his MRI is scheduled, I remember like I wake up that morning and I just have so much peace. So he gets the MRI, and then when we get the notes back, and the doctors said that he is remarkably unremarkable. Basically meaning like with everything that they had seen in the x-rays and like the checkups and the notes, like there should have been more that showed up, but like he was completely normal. They're like everything that was there is now gone. Like his spine is normal. So it's remarkable that there's nothing wrong with him.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
I just remember I was like, that's right. Like God did it.